Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. President Trump warns Hamas that it will be eradicated if it breaches Gaza deal with Israel. Vice President J.D. Vance heads to Israel to talk to Netanyahu as body of one of the hostages handed over as part of the U.S. brokered ceasefire. US and Australia sign rare earths deal to counter China's dominance as Trump promises submarines. Japan coalition deal paves way for Takaichi to be the first woman prime minister as voting for new PM to take place today. Amazon.com cloud service returns to normal operations after internet outage causes global turmoil among thousands of sites. US President Donald Trump has warned that Hamas would be eradicated if it breaches the Gaza deal with Israel. Trump's comments came as Vice President J.D. Vance headed to Israel to join two senior US envoys who traveled there after weekend violence threatened to break the agreement. Trump criticized Hamas for recent actions in Gaza, including alleged public executions of rivals and collaborators, and for what he described as violent behavior during the fragile transitional period. President Trump said that he wanted to see the truce to be given some time to hold, but signaled that the United States and the allies were ready to act if Hamas violated the deal.
You know, we have 59 countries that agreed to the deal. We have a peace in the Middle East for the first time ever. We made a deal with Hamas that, you know, they're going to be very good, they're going to behave, they're going to be nice, and if they're not, we're going to go and we're going to eradicate them if we have to. They'll be eradicated, and they know that.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that he will discuss regional challenges and opportunities with US Vice President J.D. Vance. Addressing Israel's parliament, the Knesset in Jerusalem, Netanyahu has expressed his intention to collaborate with President Trump on advancing peace agreements in the region. He also mentioned the 16 slain hostages in Hamas's captivity, calling for the urgent need to bring all remaining captives home.
We will discuss two issues, mainly two issues, about the security challenges we are facing and about the political opportunities we are facing. We will overcome the challenges and will realize the opportunities. 16 slain hostages remain in Gaza, of which 2 are foreign citizens from Thailand and Tanzania, and 14 Israeli citizens.
A convoy carrying a body handed over by Hamas in Gaza said to be of a deceased hostage arrived at Israel's National Center of Forensic Medicine in Tel Aviv on Monday night. The remains of the hostages sent to the National Institute for Forensic Medicine, where identification procedures will be carried out. Under a US-mediated agreement to end the war in Gaza and release hostages, Hamas released 20 living hostages and was to release 48 slain hostages, but as of Monday night has only handed over 14 bodies. One of them was not of a hostage. In exchange for the hostages, Israel released nearly 2,000 convicted Palestinian prisoners and detainees, among other steps under the deal. The body of Nepalese student Bipin Joshi, who was taken hostage by Hamas since the October 7, 2023 attack, was returned to Kathmandu on Monday. 3 weeks after arriving, Joshi was kidnapped by Hamas. His body was handed over by Hamas to Israel last Monday. Mourners previously paid their respects to him during a memorial service on Sunday in Israel. His relatives, Interim Nepalese Prime Minister Sushila Karki and Israeli Ambassador to Nepal, Shmulik Aribas, attended the ceremony. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met on Monday with U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. The meeting came after weekend violence threatened to wreck a fragile U.S.-brokered ceasefire in Gaza. The Israeli spokesperson in Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office, Shosh Bedrosian, stated that the state of Israel will not accept any violations of the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip and that the IDF will respond with force to any violation that endangers the security of our soldiers and its citizens.
Israel will not accept any violations of the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, and the IDF will respond with force to any violation that endangers the security of our soldiers and its citizens. Now, following the series of attacks in response to Hamas violating the ceasefire and attacking our soldiers, around 9 p.m. Sunday Israel time, the IDF began the renewed enforcement of the ceasefire. We will not only continue to uphold the ceasefire agreement, but we will enforce it. Let it be known and understood.
Israel's National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir on Monday called for the enactment of a law allowing the death penalty for those convicted of terrorism. As Israel's parliament opened its winter session, Ben-Gvir urged Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to resume intense military operations in Gaza and dismantle Hamas. All right, Akshay Dongre joins us to get us more. Akshay, good morning. We've seen US President Donald Trump threatening Hamas that it will be eradicated if it does not follow the ceasefire. But also just 2-3 days back, we saw that there were violations when we talk of the ceasefire. How do we expect the days ahead to pan out when we talk of the peace deal, and what is to be expected? Because there was positivity and optimism that after this first phase of the ceasefire, if it will be implemented correctly, then they will move on to the next phase.
Well, Preeti, there always has also been apprehension along with the optimism that there was that, both the sides with the kind of hatred, with the kind of killings that they have done to each other's peoples, how will there be a trust and how will there be a truce that will last, permanently? And that is what is happening right now on the ground. The trust deficit is playing out. We are seeing that Israeli Defense Forces also continue to, act against the kind of agreement that was agreed upon. Hamas has also targeted the Israeli Defense Forces. So, however, we saw that Donald Trump defended Hamas in a way, stating that it was the rogue elements of Hamas and the group is adhering to the ceasefire. The ceasefire continues. In fact, Hamas will be obliterated or annihilated. Before saying this, Donald Trump also said that the ceasefire is in place and he believes that Hamas is going to be good and going to follow the rules of engagement. At least the ceasefire terms are concerned. So the next few days are also going to be rocky, unfortunately, and though the optimism was there, it has quite fast, disappeared as far as the kind of behavior there has been by both the parties of the conflict, with the Hamas not disarming itself. Hamas also being apprehensive about the Israeli Defense Forces, and IDF also carrying out operations every once in a while in Gaza that has also led to a lot of casualties there in the Gaza Strip.
All right, Akshay, also help us understand now that the Israeli hostages have been released, and at the same time the Palestinian prisoners have also been released. What role can the international world, or what role can the other countries play in maintaining this truce? Because, or for that matter, how difficult is it for making Israel and Hamas stick to the ceasefire for the rest of the world?
Well, it's quite difficult because what will you do? You can't send in your forces. You can't. You just can put some sanctions, and that too, especially if Israel is having support. Unconditional support, that is of the U.S. government and of the largest military in the world, whereas Hamas supported by some there in the West Asian region, but doesn't have as much support as Israel, the technological edge. So there is disparity, but there have been attempts by Hamas to garner support, and now it has also gone. So in the next few days, we'll have to see that how the situation is panning out, because as of now it remains quite unclear that what is going to happen. Donald Trump, though, has hinted that if the ceasefire is broken, then Hamas will have to pay. However, it will not be the U.S. forces that will go in, but the countries that have volunteered to send their peacekeeping forces, they will be carrying out the operations.
All right, Akshay, also for the benefit of our viewers, help us understand how are both Hamas and Israel positioned at this time? Because also we tell our viewers that the National Security Minister of Israel has called for the enactment of a law allowing the death penalty of those convicted of terrorism. How do you see it pan out?
Well, it's a bit speculative at this point in time, because even at the government level, a lot of things are happening, changing. They're not fixed as of now. That what is going to happen? It's quite dynamic, the situation, and also quite dangerous for the region, because if ceasefire was agreed upon, they had to stick to the terms of the agreement, but it has not happened. And that is perhaps the most dangerous thing that is panning out there in Israel, that the conflict may break out once again. There may be some terror attacks, there may be some operations by the IDF. And so it's quite dynamic, it's quite volatile, the situation right now, and quite dangerous as well.
All right, Akshay, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those updates. And from here, we now turn focus to Russia-Ukraine crisis. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will attend a meeting of Ukraine's allies known as the Coalition of the Willing in London on Friday. French President Emmanuel Macron confirmed as Kyiv tries to bolster support in its conflict against Russia. The Coalition of the Willing, formed by France and Britain in February, has been holding talks for months to outline future military support for Ukraine. The group aims to ensure long-term defense commitment to Ukraine. Zelensky on Monday painted this meeting last week with President Trump as a success that yielded progress on acquiring new air defense systems. US President Donald Trump and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese signed a critical minerals agreement on Monday. As part of the wide-ranging critical minerals agreement signed with an aim of countering China's hold over the industry. Both the countries will contribute $1 billion over the next 6 months for the joint projects. The U.S. Export-Import Bank, that is EXIM, said that it sent 7 letters of interest totaling more than $2.2 billion to advance U.S.-aligned critical minerals projects in Australia. Australia said in a statement that it would provide up to $200 million in concessional equity financing for the project, which includes off-take rights for the Australian government, while the US would also make an equity investment with off-take rights.
We are discussing critical minerals and rare earths, and we're going to be signing an agreement that's been negotiated over a period of 4 or 5 months. And it was sort of good timing that we got it done just in time for the visit. And we worked together very much on rare earths, critical minerals, and lots of other things.
Amidst all this, as the US-China trade war intensifies, soybeans and rare earths have emerged as a flashpoint in a high-stakes geopolitical standoff. With China halting American soybean imports and tightening control over the rare earth exports, President Donald Trump has responded with sharp rhetoric and strategic pressure. The upcoming Trump-Xi meeting in South Korea could be pivotal, but allies remain wary of the fallout. Meanwhile, farmers reel from economic strain and global supply chains brace for the impact. Take a look at this report.
China imports 61% of global soybeans. The US once sent 31% of its crop there. Used in feed and oil, soybeans are strategic. In response to US tariffs, China stopped buying from the US, turning to Brazil and Argentina instead. US farmers now face low prices, high costs, and drought-driven hardship.
One of the things I want is China's going to buy soybeans. I want China to stop with the fentanyl. Very, normal things. I don't want them to play the rare earth game with us.
But you want them to, but do you think they will make a deal on soybeans?
I do believe, yeah, because otherwise I'm not going to make a deal. No, I want them to buy. Our farmers have been boycotted by China as a negotiating point. I don't want that. Our farmers are great, and in particular our soybean farmers, and I want them to start buying soybeans, at least in the amount that they were buying before. And I believe they'll be able to do that.
China produces 70% of rare earths and processes 90%, giving it global control. The US says China uses this as trade leverage. Trump warned of national security risks. China now restricts items with over 0.1% rare earth magnets, even if made abroad, affecting electronics, EVs, and machinery. Exporters need Chinese approval, adding global compliance hurdles.
And so you see many of the allies sort of caught in a trap where they both want the US and China to come to some kind of deal, but they're all very concerned about their exposure to the consequences of that deal, because I think the general perception is Donald Trump, the Trump administration in Washington, is out for itself. It is America first.
China's economy grew 4.8% year-on-year in Q3, with quarterly growth at 1.1% beating forecasts. Momentum is fading due to property woes, weak spending, and trade tensions. The Trump-Xi meeting at the APEC summit in South Korea October 29 to November 1 is still scheduled, despite tariff and export disputes. The summit may mark a shift in US-China ties. Bureau Report, DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, as US shutdown enters the historic fourth week, nuclear security operations hit by furloughs and political deadlock. Louvre Museum rejects report of contacting Israeli firm in jewel theft probe. Britain announces stringent measures to counter escalating drone threats.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's continue getting you more international updates. In Japan, conservative Sanae Takaichi is set to become Japan's first female prime minister on Tuesday. Now, this comes after the Japan Innovation Party, a right-wing opposition group, announced its support for her leadership. Along with Japan Innovation Party, that is Ishin, Takaichi's the governing Liberal Democratic Party holds a combined 231 seats in Parliament's dominant lower house. The new coalition number is 2 short of a majority, but the tally is almost certainly enough for Takaichi to win Tuesday's parliament vote for the next prime ministership. Takaichi said that she was looking forward to working with Ishin to strengthen Japan's economy and also ensure a better future for the next generations, as stated after signing the coalition agreement in Tokyo.
It is now thanks to the remarkable efforts of Mr. Yoshimura and Mr. Fujita, all members of the Japan Innovation Party, as well as the cooperation of my fellow parliamentarians and the executives of the LDP, that we have been able to conclude and sign this policy agreement. I consider this a very significant step forward. From this moment onward, we will work tirelessly to drive Japan forward.
A divided U.S. appeals court ruled that Donald Trump can send National Guard troops into Portland, Oregon, despite objections by the leaders of the city and state, giving the Republican president an important legal victory as he dispatches military forces to a growing number of Democratic-led locales. A 3-judge panel of the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals granted the Justice Department's request to put on hold a judge's order that had blocked the deployment while a legal challenge to Trump's action plays out. The court said that sending in the National Guard was an appropriate response to the protesters. who had damaged a federal building and threatened U.S. immigration and customs enforcement officers. As the U.S. government shutdown enters its 21st day and the fourth week on Tuesday, marking the longest full closure in history, the National Nuclear Security Administration began furloughing 1,400 employees, leaving only 375 essential staff. The unprecedented move, the first since the agency's 2000 creation, affects sites like Pantex in Texas and Y-12 National Security Complex in Tennessee, responsible for maintaining America's 5,177 nuclear warheads, including 1,770 deployed ones. Amidst the escalating tensions, Senate Democrats rejected a House-passed funding bill for the 11th time in a 50-43 vote, demanding renewal of health care subsidies for 24 million Americans. U.S. President Trump urged Democrats to compromise, warning of further measures, while House Speaker Mike Johnson highlighted national security risks. Colombian President Gustavo Petro met with the U.S. representative in Bogota on Monday as the two countries sought to defuse a diplomatic crisis triggered by U.S. President Trump's threat to impose new tariffs and his accusation on the Colombian president. The meeting came after Colombia recalled its ambassador from Washington following Trump's weekend comments, which the Colombian government described as offensive. The dispute has intensified following U.S. military strikes on vessels allegedly transporting drugs. Petro has objected to the U.S. military strikes against the vessels in the Caribbean, which have killed dozens of people aboard the vessels. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro defended Colombia after U.S. President Donald Trump's threats to raise tariffs on the South American nation and stop all payments to it. Emphasizing on the ties between the two nations, Maduro referred to Colombia and Venezuela as Siamese twins, saying whatever has to do with Colombia has to do with Venezuela.
Colombia knows we are one. We are Siamese twins. And whatever has to do with Colombia has to do with Venezuela. And whatever has to do with Venezuela has to do with Colombia. As a Colombian military officer wrote to me 2 weeks ago, if they touch Venezuela, they touch Colombia. We are a single homeland at heart, and these aren't just empty words. I know what I am saying. Del corazón.
Argentina's central bank signed a $20 billion exchange rate stabilization agreement with the U.S. Treasury Department 6 days ahead of a key midterm election. The agreement sets forth the terms for bilateral currency swap operations between the U.S. and Argentina. The arrangement with banks and investment funds would be backed by International Monetary Fund, special drawing rights held in the Treasury's Exchange Stabilization Fund that will be converted to dollars. The central bank, that is BCRA, lauds that such operations will allow the BCRA to expand its set of monetary and exchange rate policy instruments, including the liquidity of its international reserves. The BCRA said that the pact was part of a comprehensive strategy to enhance its ability to respond to foreign exchange and capital markets volatility. Following earlier incidents of drones violating the airspaces, a significant development has emerged from the United Kingdom. Britain's Defence Secretary John Healey has announced sweeping measures to counter escalating drone threats during a speech at the Lord Mayor's Defence and Security Lecture in London. As per the British Defence Secretary Healey, troops will gain new legal powers enshrined in the forthcoming Armed Forces Bill to shoot down unidentified drones over military sites, expanding beyond current non-lethal options like signal jamming. Healey cited September's incursion of 19 Russian drones into Polish airspace, violations of Estonian skies and election meddling in Moldova as evidence of Moscow's broadening campaign. The government also unveiled successful trials of supersonic Martlet missiles for drone interception by Royal Navy helicopters.
Russian aggression has escalated. It's extended even further into the West. Each month, Ukraine suffers more drones launched in attack. And last month we saw 19 cross the Polish border. Days later we saw Russian jets violate Estonian airspace. And while at the same time Russia mounted a concerted campaign to subvert Moldovan elections. Here at home, we continue to defend ourselves daily against threats that range from the seabed to cyberspace. And we will always do what's needed to defend British people. And as we speak, we're developing new legal powers to bring down unidentified drones over UK military bases.
The Louvre Museum on Monday denied contacting Israeli intelligence firm CGI Group following a high-profile jewel heist at the Paris Museum. CGI Group, based in Tel Aviv, claimed the museum had sought its help in identifying the thieves and recovering 9 stolen pieces, citing the firm's past success with a similar case in Dresden in 2019. The Louvre, however, stated that it had made no such request. CGI's CEO later suggested the approach may have come through intermediaries, possibly linked to the museum's insurers or other associated entities. CGI made similar claims of involvement in the Dresden case, which that museum also denied. French police are currently searching for 4 suspects who stole several priceless items, including a diamond-covered crown that was dropped during their escape. Bolivia's President-elect Rodrigo Paz, speaking in La Paz with Vice President-elect Edmund Lara, committed to restoring institutional stability, securing fuel supplies and strengthening global relations ahead of his November 8th inauguration. Following a decisive runoff victory, Paz emphasized on reconciliation and transparency to move beyond nearly 2 decades of movement for socialism governance. Rodrigo Paz addressed Bolivia's economic challenges, noting $60 billion in lost gas revenues and $40 billion in debt from prior administrations. He also announced ongoing discussions with the U.S. and regional leaders to bolster energy security and promised an assertive approach to enhance Bolivia's economic and political presence internationally.
We have extended a hand to all political forces in parliament because I believe the mandate of the Bolivian people is not confrontation. It is not violence in the streets, but rather the opposite. To restore lost institutional order, and in that, the National Assembly has a fundamental role. Our future government gives this priority, the reconciliation of visions, of projects, and the urgent need to move the country forward.
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Fresh off his election victory, Bolivia's new president-elect Rodrigo Paz is already making bold diplomatic moves. On Monday, Paz held a phone call with Venezuelan Nobel Peace Prize laureate Maria Corina Machado, extending a personal invitation to his swearing-in ceremony on November 8th. Machado, who is banned from travel for 11 years, said attending would mark her first trip abroad in over a decade. U.S. President Trump has announced White House East Wing expansion. For the first time in the history of the White House, a permanent ballroom is being constructed on the ground, a dream Trump said had been shared by every U.S. president for more than 150 years. The new ballroom is expected to cost over $250 million, with Trump stating that he and private donors would cover the expense. A tornado, described by authorities as a storm of rare intensity, ripped through northern Paris suburbs on Monday, toppling 3 cranes and killing a 23-year-old construction worker. The tornado left 10 people injured as it tore roofs from buildings and mangled the structures. Emergency crew were deployed to the affected areas to assist with response efforts. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, in line with Diwali festivities, Indian stock markets to open for a special 1-hour Muhurta trading session today. Foreign embassies in India submerged in Diwali fervour and gaiety. Stay with us for quick glimpses of the celebrations. President Murmu to begin a 4-day visit to Kerala. Stay with us for more details.
complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. President Trump warns Hamas that it will be eradicated if it breaches Gaza deal with Israel. Vice President J.D. Vance heads to Israel to talk to Netanyahu as body of one of the hostage handed over as part of U.S. brokered ceasefire. U.S. and Australia sign rare earths deal to counter China's dominance as Trump promises submarines. Japan coalition deal paves way for Takaichi to become the first woman prime minister as voting for the new prime minister to take place today. Amazon.com cloud service returns to normal operations after internet outage causes global turmoil among thousands of sites. As Diwali lights up every corner of the country, from the sacred ghats of Ayodhya to the bustling streets of Mumbai, India celebrated in 1,000 shades of light and devotion. Homes and hearts glow alike, reflecting the unity and joy that define this festival. Let's take you across India, where faith meets festivity and the spirit of Diwali shines brighter than ever.
The night sky sparkles once again as India lights up in a million hues of joy, faith and festivity. From the bustling markets to homes decked with diyas, Diwali returns, carrying stories of togetherness, tradition, and triumph of light over darkness. As the nation celebrates, let's take you through how India is glowing this festive season with hearts as radiant as the lamps that adorn every corner. Across India, homes and streets glowed with lamps, rangolis, and smiles, each corner reflecting a different hue of celebration. In the holy city of Ayodhya in Uttar Pradesh, a sea of diyas illuminated the banks of the Saryu, while Mathura rejoiced with devotional fervor at Sri Krishna Janmabhoomi. Cities like Sitapur and Aligarh added new chapters of light and unity to the state's grand festivities. In Gujarat, over 10,000 lamps lit up the Swami Narayan Akshardham in Gandhinagar, a breathtaking blend of devotion, architecture, and artistry. The banks of the Narmada River in Madhya Pradesh shimmered with countless diyas, casting golden reflections of faith upon the flowing waters. Rajasthan dazzled with color and creativity, from patriotic themes in Udaipur's Operation Sindoor display to Jodhpur's vibrant street celebrations. Down south, Tamil Nadu celebrated with homes and temples glowing in unity, as the fragrance of sweets and flowers filled the festive air. In East, the city of Kolkata blended the radiance of Diwali with the devotion of Kali Puja. Streets lit up with lights and chants, carrying the rhythm of joy and reverence. And in Orissa, Bhubaneswar's Raj Bhavan shimmered in color, while artists in Puri brought the Ramayana alive before the Sri Jagannath temple, fusing art and spirituality. In Mumbai's Bhandup, tradition met community spirit, with rituals, music, and floral tributes to local heritage adding meaning to celebration. From the ghats of Ayodhya to the shores of Chennai, India glows in one spirit of light, unity, and hope, reminding us that darkness fades where hearts shine bright. Nishchay Roy's report for DD India.
Air Chief Marshal Amarpreet Singh, Chief of the Air Staff, visited the Ladakh sector to celebrate Diwali with Indian Air Force and Indian Army personnel stationed there. He interacted with the troops, praising their unwavering dedication and professionalism in protecting India's borders amid harsh, high-altitude environments. Singh extended warm festive greetings to the personnel and their families, emphasizing their vital role in national security. The event took place at a high-altitude airfield, as depicted in the shared photograph showing a group pose before a Happy Diwali banner. It's lights, laughter and limitless joy across the globe as Diwali, the festival of lights, illuminated hearts and horizons from Shanghai to Sydney. Here's how the world joined in the celebration of India's most radiant festival.
Celebrations erupted across continents as Diwali lit up skies and spirits worldwide. From Asia to Europe, the Festival of Lights was marked with grandeur, color and cultural splendor. In Shanghai, the Consulate General of India and the Indian Association hosted the region's largest ever Diwali celebration with over 800 guests joining for Lakshmi Puja, cultural performances and a feast of Indian delicacies that won hearts across communities. In Japan, the Indian embassy turned festive cheer into melody with music, dance, quizzes and fireworks lighting up the night sky as the Indian diaspora celebrated together. Across Sri Lanka, Diwali joy resonated through dance, music and cuisine as President Anura Kumara Dissanayake extended warm greetings to the Indian community. Taking to social media platform X, he wrote, and I quote, "On this blessed Deepavali, my warmest wishes to all Hindus in Sri Lanka and abroad. As lamps are lit in every home, we pray that this festival's light dispels the darkness in our hearts and illuminates our collective path. This celebration of good over evil mirrors our government's resolve to defeat the threats to our nation's progress, from drug abuse to extremism. We are committed to building a safe, just, and thriving nation where every individual's freedom and dignity are preserved." Meanwhile, Dubai sparkled brighter than ever. Streets, markets, and landmarks dazzled with lights and decor as residents and visitors soaked in the festive spirit. UAE Prime Minister and Dubai's ruler, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, conveyed his Diwali wishes, celebrating the triumph of light over darkness. In a statement, he said, and I quote, "Warmest wishes and greetings to those celebrating Diwali in the UAE and around the world. May this festival of lights bring peace, safety, and prosperity to you and your loved ones. Happy Diwali." Meanwhile, the Australian High Commission hosted a vibrant celebration, calling it a celebration to remember. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese too shared his heartfelt Diwali greetings.
I wish everyone a very happy Diwali. As you gather to celebrate the great Festival of Lights, may this special time uplift you with hope for a bright future. May it be an absolutely wonderful celebration.
Global leaders joined in, celebrating Diwali's universal message of hope, renewal and positivity. New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon extended warm wishes to all celebrating the Festival of Lights.
Happy Diwali, everyone, as families and friends come together all across New Zealand to celebrate the Festival of Lights. I want to take a moment to acknowledge what this time represents. Of course, it is about the triumph of light over darkness, hope over despair, and good over evil. It's also a time to reflect, to reconnect, and to spread happiness and positivity in our lives, and the world needs a lot of that. So I'm wishing you and all of your loved ones a wonderful Diwali and a prosperous year ahead. Happy Diwali.
United Nations also wished Indians Happy Diwali. In a post on X, the global bloc said, and I quote, "During Diwali, the Festival of Lights celebrated in India and by followers of many faiths around the world. Clay lamps are symbolically lit. We wish a happy and safe Diwali to all those celebrating." From temples to towers, from hearts to horizons, Diwali once again proved that light knows no borders. As the world glows in festive joy, the spirit of Diwali shines brighter than ever. Amish Mahajan's report for DD India.
The Embassy of the Kingdom of Netherlands in India hosted a vibrant Diwali celebration at its premises in New Delhi, fostering cultural exchange and unity among the staff, colleagues and friends. Ambassador Marisa Gerards and team members participated in traditional rituals, including lighting of diyas and performing aarti with marigold garlands as captured in shared photos. Other embassies in Delhi, including Germany, joined in the annual Diwali observances, highlighting international solidarity. German Ambassador to India, Dr. Philipp Ackermann, shared a vibrant video on X showcasing a Diwali celebration at the German embassy. The event featured traditional Indian decorations, dancing and cultural performances, highlighting the festival's themes of light and unity. Ackerman emphasized on the importance of cross-cultural exchange, noting how Indian colleagues invited German staff to join the festivities.
The ones who retired are there. It's a great celebration.
Meanwhile, Embassy of India in Liberia hosted a grand Diwali celebration at the residence of Ambassador Manoj Bihari Verma in Monrovia. The event brought together the Indian community, ambassadors, diplomats, international guests and Liberian friends to honor the Festival of Lights. Ambassador Verma delivered a warm speech extending Diwali greetings and emphasizing on the festival's symbolism of light overcoming darkness. Singapore High Commission in India shared a captivating video from the Singapore Police Force celebrating Deepavali 2025. The production features the officers from various home team agencies, including the Immigration and Checkpoints Authority, Singapore Prison Service, and the Central Narcotics Bureau, performing energetic dances and poses set to the Jana Nayagan theme from actor Thalapathy Vijay's repertoire. A highlight is the special guest appearance by Home Affairs Minister K. Shanmugam, who joins in the festivities with enthusiasm. Indian stock markets will open for a special 1-hour Muhurat trading session today from 1:45 p.m. to 2:45 p.m. this afternoon. This annual Diwali tradition is considered as an auspicious time for investors to make fresh trades believed to bring prosperity in the year ahead. The markets will remain closed on Wednesday, October 22nd, and normal trading will resume on Thursday. Market experts are hopeful for better earnings growth and supportive policies this year. Shama Mishra joins us on phone line from Mumbai. Shama, 1-hour Muhurat trading session will take place today. Help us understand, to our viewers, help our viewers in fact understand the significance of this session. How is it carried out?
Well, good morning, Preeti. Muhurat trading now is a special symbolic trading session which is conducted by both the stock exchanges, NSE and BSE, on the occasion of Diwali. So it marks the beginning of New Year for Gujarati community, which is also known as the traditional Hindu financial year, and it will be somewhat 2082. So we will enter the new year, Hindu New Year, and this particular occasion really symbolizes a time when the traders and the brokers, they come together and they show faith, they show belief, trust in stock markets, in the way they are going to create wealth, the way they are going to be successful for creating wealth. It is considered an auspicious time to invest. Traders and investors, they believe that buying stocks during this period, it will bring them prosperity and also good fortune. This is going to begin from 1:45 today, 1:45 p.m. today. It will last till 1 hour, which is 2:45. The corrections can be made till 2:55. So generally, it is considered that done during this period, if it's green the entire year, the markets will trade in green, and if it's red, then the markets will give a similar picture. So generally it's seen that the markets in most cases has shown the green picture, and even in this time it is hoped that the markets will be showing a green trade, way of trading. Also, more of trading, less of trading, more of faith. It is what's considered in this particular 1 hour of trading. And as I've said, that this is the time when the brokers and the traders come together. They're all dressed up in the traditional attires, both in NSE and BSE. And before the Muhurat trading begins, they will perform the auspicious Lakshmi Pujan. This is obviously to welcome, to invoke Ma Lakshmi, that she should be giving her blessings to the trader community, to the markets of India. And we have seen this pattern that most of the times, the markets have ended in green on this special Muhurat trading occasion. Preeti.
All right, so the markets have generally ended in green on this in this session. But then, Shama, also, how do you predict the days ahead? Because we've seen this festive season how gold and silver have have shown a bull run, and also when we talk of the particular sectors ahead, which are the particular sectors that seem promising ahead for the investors to invest?
Generally talking, we have seen that markets always mirror the international markets, but domestically there are some strong factors. Markets will always show a positive sign, and now that Prime Minister he is laying emphasis on Swadeshi, on Indian-made products. So back in the country, we are really trying to have those sectors. We are trying to make those sectors strong, which we generally had the stuff imported from. So, the semiconductors, the technological sector, all these sectors are expected in the future to have a good play, to have a good run. And Indian companies which are going to be listed in the future, because there are a lot of startups, there are a lot of small companies coming into picture. There are many IPOs coming every week, every month, getting listed, and it is giving a good performance. So technology, pharma, all these areas, banking has always remained a strong sector. These all areas will definitely show a good picture, and always this is the mantra of the traders and brokers that even a new investor should hold on for a long term. They should invest for a long term, and even in this Muhurat trading, people symbolically hold on for a very long time, whatever stocks they are buying. And as you've asked for the gold and silver, we are seeing that gold and silver prices are going down, but it's only a matter of time that these prices will stabilize and again start climbing up, because in the last decade we have seen the gold, the pattern of the gold prices, it is steeping up and it is skyrocketing. Even in the case of silver, that has gone up marginally high. So there are some factors because of which the gold and silver prices are coming down, but in future it is expected, and some of the traders or experts are also of the view that soon the gold prices will also touch 2 lakhs. So it is, advised from their end that people, even if a small quantity, they should really buy gold. And that was an advice on the day of Dhanteras, when the price had come down of gold 5,000 rupees and of silver 20,000 rupees. So the gold shopkeepers, they urge people to come out and purchase gold, because everybody knows India has always been of this behavioral pattern that we generally like buying, like purchasing gold and keep it not just for the ornamental purpose, but also as a major investment purpose.
All right, Shama, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those updates. And talking of the global markets, then US stocks jumped on Monday, with finance and technology shares providing much of the upside muscle that resulted in the revived risk appetite, and investors grew less fearful about regional bank credit quality. According to preliminary data, the S&P 500 gained 1.07%, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 1.37%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 1.11%. Apple stocks touched a record high, while Meta, Netflix and Alphabet posted solid gains. The third quarter earnings season has shifted into high gear. Meanwhile, in the Asian markets, the yen held steady on Tuesday ahead of a parliament vote in Japan later in the day. Currencies were mostly range-bound in the early Asian session, with the dollar little changed as an ongoing US government shutdown left investors flying blind on data ahead of next week's Federal Reserve meeting. Back home, President Draupadi Murmu will arrive in Thiruvananthapuram on Tuesday. She's on a 4-day visit to the South Indian state of Kerala. President will visit the Sabrimala temple for darshan tomorrow. On Thursday, she will unveil the statue of former President K.R. Narayanan at the Raj Bhavan, Thiruvananthapuram. The President will also attend the centenary celebrations of Sri Narayan Guru Samadhi. Further, she will also participate in programs at St. Thomas College in Pala and St. Teresa's College in Ernakulam. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh laid a wreath at the National Police Memorial in New Delhi on Tuesday to honour the fallen police personnel on Police Commemoration Day. The day marks the sacrifice of 10 policemen killed in an ambush by Chinese troops at Hot Springs, Ladakh on October 21, 1959. Rajnath Singh paid tribute at the Wall of Valour. A joint parade of Central Armed Police Forces and Delhi Police also takes place on this day.
माननीय मुख्य अतिथि महोदय द्वारा
And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. The air quality index around Delhi touched 368 on Tuesday morning, placing it in the very poor category. The spike in pollution levels comes amid post-Diwali smog and stagnant weather conditions, further deteriorating air quality across the capital. IMD has issued an orange colour warning for heavy rainfall in Tamil Nadu for the next 4 days. The IMD also estimated very heavy rainfall conditions over Puducherry and Karaikal for the next 2 days. A massive fire broke out last night in a hotel in Kasol, a popular tourist destination in the Parvati Valley of Kullu in Himachal Pradesh. The incident occurred on the top floor of the hotel. Fire has been brought under control and there are no reports of any injuries or casualties in the incident, but the top floor of the hotel has been completely gutted. Veteran actor Govardhan Asrani passed away in Mumbai yesterday at the age of 84. Family sources said that Asrani breathed his last around 4 p.m. Best known for his role as the jailer in Sholay, he also starred in hits like Chupke Chupke, Bhool Bhulaiya, Dhamal and Bunty Aur Bubbly too. Originally from Jaipur, Rajasthan, Asrani was educated at St. Xavier's College in his hometown before embarking on a remarkable journey in the Indian cinema. With a career spanning over 5 decades, Asrani's contribution to Hindi cinema, especially in the genre of comedy, was both prolific and profound. In some other news, Amazon.com cloud service returned to normal operations on Monday afternoon after an internet outage that caused global turmoil among thousands of sites, including some of the web's most popular apps like Snapchat and Reddit. It was the largest internet disruption since last year's CrowdStrike malfunction hobbled technology systems in hospitals, banks and airports, highlighting the vulnerability of the world's interconnected technologies. According to Amazon, some AWS services had a backlog of messages that would take a few hours to process. AWS outage has affected major websites and apps globally. Users had complained of lingering difficulties using services such as digital wallet, that is Venmo, and video calling site Zoom. The root cause has been traced to US East 1 region. It was at least the third time in 5 years that AWS's Northern Virginia cluster, known as US East 1, contributed to a major internet meltdown. Amazon did not address a request for more clarity about why that particular data center keeps being impacted. The problem stemmed from what is known as the Domain Name System, or DNS, which prevented applications from finding the correct address for AWS's DynamoDB API, a cloud database relied upon to store user information and other critical data. Let's get to updates from sports. In the ICC Women's ODI World Cup, Sri Lanka secured a narrow win over Bangladesh in a thrilling encounter. Bangladesh suffered a heartbreak as Sri Lanka snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, winning by 7 runs in a nail-biting finish in Navi Mumbai. Batting first, Sri Lanka got all out at 202. However, Lankan bowlers restricted Bangladesh to 195 for 9 in their 50 overs. Captain Chamari Atapattu delivered an all-round masterclass to keep Sri Lanka's semi-final hopes alive. While with Bangladesh needing just 9 runs off the final over, Atapattu took matters into her own hands. Bowling the last over, she conceded only a single run and took 3 wickets to seal a dramatic win for her side. Arsenal is set for a blockbuster clash against Atletico Madrid in the UEFA Champions League at the Emirates Stadium on Tuesday night. Arsenal are at the top of the Premier League table and placed at the 5th position in Champions League, while Atletico is placed at the 10th spot. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta said that he was pleased with his players' commitment but warned that they cannot get ahead of themselves. Arteta also praised Atletico manager Diego Simeone, who has led the Spanish club to 2 Europa League and 2 La Liga titles.
The team, the energy, the temperature, the commitment and the quality that they can deliver, that it gives me that conviction that we can go all the way. But that's it, that's just a feeling that the next day you have to prove it, the next training session you have to prove it, and nothing else, and we cannot be busy thinking about those topics. Well, at the highest level, I mean, I think what he's done since he got to Atletico has been outstanding. Not only what he have achieved, but the way he's done it. I think the identity that he has created to the club, to the team, the spirit, I think they are very simple and clear to identify, and that's because the manager is very much them.
Israeli club Maccabi Tel Aviv has stated that they will not accept any away fan tickets for the Europa League match at Aston Villa next month, even if local authorities reverse the decision to ban their supporters. The ban followed safety concerns raised by British police, who cited potential protests outside the Villa Park following demonstrations at Israel's recent World Cup qualifier match. Aston Villa announced the decision last week, saying they were following instructions from Safety Advisory Group, who are responsible for issuing safety certificates for games at Villa Park. Aston Villa are third in the Europa League standings, while Maccabi Tel Aviv are 30th after 2 rounds. Kali Puja celebrated across West Bengal on Diwali, with special rituals held at Birbhum, Tarapeeth Temple and Dakshineshwar Kali Mata Temple to mark the occasion. People lit traditional diyas and burst firecrackers, adding a festive glow to the night and worshipping the goddess with devotion and joy. The Golden Temple in Amritsar was also decorated with lights on Diwali and Bandi Chhod Divas. Devotees gathered in large numbers, offering prayers and lighting lamps, celebrating the Sikh festival of freedom, justice and spiritual triumph. With that, we end this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.